For some people, it's just going to be every day, I know I'm going to need some coffee. If you think you're going to get up and you're just going to wake up and say, I think I'll homeschool today. Hey, welcome back to my channel. So it's Melissa here coming at you with another video. As you read from the title, this is video number 2 in a series. I don't even know how many series of videos this is going to be. Before we get started, I wanted to encourage you to please hit the subscribe button if you have not already. If you have, huge thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video. So as people have reached out to me asking me about homeschooling because they are aware of the fact that I homeschool my kids, I decided, you know what, let's make a video about it so that we can give step-by-step instruction, support, and guidance to families that are now finding themselves embarking on that journey. Let's jump right into the information. So for the last video, I talked about what is homeschooling, what is virtual school, what is hybrid learning, and what's the difference of the three and what the similarities are in the three. I want to segue into preparing yourself. You as the teacher, you as the parent, you as the one that's going to be facilitating the learning in all three of these incidences. In the last video, I told you, regardless of what the topic that we're discussing, we're going to be having subtopics that will help guide the conversation. Attitude, preparation, organization, execution, and success. So today we're going to be discussing those 5 things, but we're going to be talking about you. Attitude. I cannot express enough how your attitude will influence and drive the atmosphere of your homeschooling / virtual learning situation. Now, I'm going to continue to speak about this as if you've already watched my previous video. If you don't know the difference between virtual learning and homeschooling, you're going to have to watch that other video because I went through and explained all of that. I went through and explained my personal experience with it, why I homeschooled, and where I'm at in the process. So please go back and watch that full video. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. But for right now, I've moved on, and now I'm talking about you as the preparer, as the parent that's going to be facilitating this learning. And I'm telling you, understand that your children will take their cues about homeschooling and virtual learning from you. If you are not 100% sold on this situation, if you're not 100% sold on homeschooling and virtual learning, I implore you to not even discuss it with your children until you have a positive attitude about it, because they're not going to be positive about it unless you are positive about it. Your attitude is key. And I'm here to say it, whether you're sending your kid to the brick and mortar, especially if you're sending your kid to a brick and mortar school, if you're not supportive of your children's teachers, their administration, and anyone else that's in support staff there, you probably are running into a lot of conflict in school. And the teachers have a hard time as it is. Pre-COVID, I do not envy them. I have no desire at all to be in the classroom during this season because it's going to be an experiment, to say the least. And I just encourage you to just really have grace on the teachers if your kid is going back to the brick and mortar or the hybrid or even the virtual, because some of these teachers, not some, a lot of these teachers will be juggling the responsibility of, if they're doing hybrid, of your child online as well as the children that they have in classroom. So again, attitude. This is a unique learning situation, but it's not something that's so unique that it's not doable. So because of that, I just encourage you to make sure that your attitude is in line with what your ultimate goal is. And hopefully your ultimate goal is for your children to be successful human beings. The other part about the attitude is, this is unique. You have to kind of have a conviction about what you're doing and why you're doing it, because as much as I'm an advocate for homeschooling, there's a lot of people that are not advocates and they think that it's weird and it's detrimental to the children and all this stuff that is unfounded. If you're doing it successfully, there are so many countless geniuses and successful people that have been homeschooled. So with that, part of your attitude should be, I am going to expect to be looked at like I'm crazy. Not so much now, but maybe post-COVID. but not so much now because it's pretty much a lot of the United States are going to be in the same boat. So that's the good thing. When I was homeschooling, we weren't all in the same boat. There wasn't a lot of people there was a lot of people homeschooling, but it wasn't mandated by the district, so to speak. So now what I'm speaking about is post-COVID. Let's say everything's going good and you want to continue to homeschool. Make sure you have an attitude that this is what you want to do for your family, why you want to do it. And I really encourage you to create a philosophy for learning for your family. What is the point? What is the philosophy? What is it that's driving why you're doing what you're doing? And it's really simple. You could just write it down. It could be something that you look at and read every day to remind you why you're doing what you're doing. If you're doing it simply because of COVID, that is fine as well. Because even in that, if you're frustrated in that, you could still tell yourself, I may be frustrated in this moment. This will not last long, but I'm going to do the best that I can for my child in this season. The next thing is preparation. If you think you're going to get up and you're just going to wake up and say, I think I'll homeschool today and we're just going to, no, that's not going to be successful. And although teachers have gone to school to learn how to do lesson plans and different things like that, to prepare for their day, there are things that you have to do, should do, as to prepare for your day as a parent that is homeschooling. Now, again, virtual learning is going to be the same thing. You're not going to just get to sit your kid in front of the computer and just say, have at it. Yes, your teacher is preparing lessons and different things like that. But part of the preparation is, what is my day going to look like? What is my children's day going to look like? And what do I need to do to help my kids prepare for their day? So preparation is key. Part of the preparation is you need to organize. Preparation and organization is going to look kind of like the same. So I may as well just go right into organization. Your organization level is going to depend on where you're at and what's good for your home. I can't tell you that you ought to organize your homeschool day, your homeschool the way I would. I went the gamut from having an entire homeschool room with desks and books and a whole learning center to having a computer, a well-prepared area. Now, in a separate video, I'm going to talk about learning styles and what's conducive to your child. But right now, I'm not talking about your child. Remember, I'm talking about you. In the organization, you have to decide, okay, if I'm going to do virtual learning, if I'm going to do homeschooling, what are some things that I need that's going to help me be successful? For some people, coffee. For some people, it's just going to be every day, I know I'm going to need some coffee. Every day, I know I'm going to have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, because if I'm going to get the children up at 9 to start, I need an hour before them to get my head together, to get my quiet time, to get my thoughts together, to go over that science experiment that I don't necessarily know how to facilitate. Whatever it is, that's preparation. And even as a virtual learner, if your kid has something on their calendar that you need to help them prepare for, you may have to prepare going to the store to get supplies, preparing them that they need to do it. If your kids have test anxiety and they know they have a test coming up, that is part of your preparation. I am going to do a video of resources, because part of preparation and organization is support. You're going to need support. And thankfully, you have these videos to always come back to and say, hey, what was that place she said I can go? What is that place? I will always be here, but there will also be a list of resources that you can go to for support. Virtual learning, you will have the support of the district. You will have the support of your kids' teachers. But at the same time, you still need support, because what if my kid isn't grasping something and they need tutoring or whatever? I will provide some resources for that. And if you have some resources, absolutely feel free to add to them. Organization, preparation. Well, here's the thing. Part of the preparation and organization is you're going to have to do what I told you to do in the first video, which is let the district know this is what I'm planning on doing. Whether if you're planning on homeschooling, part of that organization and preparation is going to be, what am I required to submit to the district and how often? That will drive your preparation. If you're not homeschooling, but you're definitely doing virtual learning, how do I prepare myself when my children are learning virtually through the district. Organize your day. The same thing as far as your diet is concerned. If you know that you're cranky when you don't eat breakfast, but the kids need to be up at 7 and they're going to still need your support as virtual learners, you got to get your breakfast in earlier. I feel like calendars will be good for you to write down if the school is requiring you to do certain things. If the kid is required to go to Zooms or virtual classrooms, that calendar will help you like keep track of all of that. It's a good tracker. And so even though my kids are attending school virtually, there are things that I need to prepare for. If your children don't have computers, you need to start preparing and getting computers if you're not going to get it through the district. If your children don't have AirPods, then they're going to need those. So again, preparation. Do your children need desks? Not necessarily. They don't. So in part of preparation, I'm going to talk about this with the next series of videos when I'm talking about your child, but I'll just give you a little snippet. Just because traditional school provides desks for learning does not mean when your kid is homeschooled that they have to sit at the desk. My philosophy is if you get straight A's by doing your homework on the toilet, then that's where I'm going to encourage you to be. If you get straight A's and are very successful with reading comprehension and you can lay on the carpet upside down while listening to music, and then I give you a test and you know everything, that's how you learn. And I respect that. If you have a child that learns by up and moving and that's what they need to do as they're taking their test and doing anything, I respect that. That's the beauty of homeschooling and virtual learning. You can prepare also your attitude by thinking, I don't have to do the things that a traditional teacher does to help execute learning, which leads us to the next part of the video, which is talking about execution. Now, execution. If you're virtual learning, you've already told yourself, I'm waiting on the district to give me my guidelines on virtual learning. It's kind of early in the summer to be really talking about execution because school hasn't started yet. Now, the beautiful thing about homeschooling is you actually can start teaching your kids now. Legally, you can do your letter of intent to homeschool, and then you can begin to homeschool. In that execution right now for your virtual learning, like right now, my kids are going to be learning virtually. There's nothing for me to execute right now because it hasn't started. But what does execution, a day of execution look like? Pretty much it's what your day is going to look like. You can see, okay, are the teachers going to require my kids to be in a certain classroom at a certain time? Can they learn at a certain time of night or day or whatever? So you got to kind of wait on that. Homeschoolers, you are way more flexible because if your kids are night owls, there's nothing against saying you can't organize your homeschooling day to reflect what's best for you and your family. If your husband is the one that rocks out math, or your cousin or your grandmother, and they're really good in math and they're only available on Wednesdays, it's completely okay to have that person help your child do their math on Wednesday. And then maybe they give them work to do on Thursday, Friday, whatever. So in other words, you don't have to do math all those days. So there's a lot of things that before you go into homeschooling and virtual learning that you put so much pressure on yourself that you really don't have to have that much pressure. Because number one, you're talking about a ratio typically of 1-to-1. So when you're talking about a 1-to-1 ratio, one student, one parent, one teacher, the learning is going to be so much more faster. It should be, unless there's something that they're remedial on. And then you could still have that one-on-one support. So the success rate is going to be so much more, in my opinion. If you're not an expert on something, there's support for that. That's part of that organization. When you look at organization and execution, where is it that you want to homeschool? Are you going to use the upstairs? Are you going to use the downstairs? Are you going to use the dining room table? If you are, how would breakfast, will it interrupt that? Can it interrupt that? Is it against rules for me to have my kid eating breakfast while they're doing? No. It's the beauty of it. They can be eating, they can be drinking, and still doing their schoolwork. So a lot of the pressure that the brick and mortar teachers have of trying to keep children on task, shut your music off, put that candy bar away, don't do that, don't do this. As a homeschooler or a virtual learner, you may have or give the liberty for them to be able to do those things as long as they're successful. I'm the type of teacher, I'm the type of parent, I'm the type of homeschool. If my kids want to listen to music as they're doing their math and they're doing a very good job at it, I'm completely okay with that. But if I know that it's going to be a distraction, then no, you don't need to do that. I'm not gonna have the TV on because that's a whole nother situation. That's a whole other situation. But if that's what they need to be successful, then so be it. So be it. What do I need to do for myself to be prepared? Do I need to make sure that the kid that I know is motivated by positive reinforcement and treats and different things like that? Do I need to set up and go to the store and get extra candy or extra fruit or whatever it is that you feel like will be a great reward system? Do I need to set up a reward system? You have to pretty much look at your kid and say, what can I do to make this a successful learning environment for my child? So for that kid that you're like, he's not going to learn, he's just not going to do very well, I already know he's not. Begin to change your thinking and what you're saying about that situation. If you can, be barring special needs and developmental needs, what is it that I can do to make it successful? What is his problem? What is her problem? What is the combativeness? What is it that they don't want to do? Because here's the thing, you got to divide. Is it, I just don't want to do the work? Or I don't feel like it? Or I learn better doing my work on the couch and you're making me sit at the table. I learn better with headphones with classical music, but you won't let me do that. So you have to look at preparing. Part of preparation is thinking outside of the box with homeschool. You're not bound to all the traditional environments because it's home. And not only it's home, it's your learning that's tailored to one child. What an advantage that is. You know, even when you're talking about virtual learning, part of your execution, part of your preparation and planning, get on your school district's websites if you aren't already, and just dig into what they're talking about, what their plans are. If they've already bought a curriculum, you can go to that curriculum's website and look at what it looks like. Find the Facebook group for that curriculum. Success. You have to ask yourself, what does success going to look like a year from now for you? Success for me may be my kid survived. Success for you may be I didn't have a meltdown. We started off with meltdowns every day, and by the end of the year, I didn't have any meltdowns. Success, what does that look like academically? What does it look like for you? Right now, we're talking about success for you. I was able to manage all of this and not lose it. So that's what I encourage you to do. Look at and write down a year from now, I know that I would have been successful because I accomplished X, Y, Z. Now, here's the kicker. That may change because once you're into the groove of it and you're in and you got your feet wet, things will look differently and then you'll have a different goal. With that being said, I can't wait to dive into your child and preparing your family. And then giving these tools. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if there's anything that you have a question about as far as preparing you, the teacher, the parent teacher, I'll say that. Preparing the parent teacher for homeschooling and for virtual learning. What will success look like for you and your family? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.